Hello everyone, this is a quick video on how to mod Bush 1022. Version 2.0 pre-release is now live, so anybody can just mod the game, and I'm gonna show you how. So, in this video I'm going to make a small model, or rather a low poly aircraft model, and I'm going to get it into the game. Now, first thing first, the forward facing direction is X. So if you look at the top right in Blender, you're going to see this X. Where this X is pointing towards, this is the forward direction. So looking at the mesh, I know that this is forward. This is going forward. So yeah, now that when I'm making the aircraft, I'll keep this in mind, and I'm going to make it face this way. Also, the world origin of the Blender model is where the center of mass is. So this is, yeah, pretty much this is where all of the forces will apply to the aircraft. So these are the two important things to know for setting up the mesh in Blender. Now I'm going to quickly make this model, and once I'm probably time-lapse it, and once I'm done I'll go over how to set up the control surfaces, the propellers, and the lights and everything. So yeah, see you in a bit. Okay, now I have some basic mesh ready, and as you can see in the namings here, it's a complete mess. This is how I would expect a lot of models to turn out. So now I'm going to turn this mess into something that's going to work with the game. So first I'll start by doing the control surfaces. And the way they work is they just spin certain meshes around the y-axis, the Blender y-axis. In Godot that's going to be different, but we don't care about Godot now, we only care about Blender. So yeah, it's going to spin a bunch of meshes around the y-axis, and it's going to depend on their names. So now I'm going to get into changing the names and basically making them work. So first off, I'm going to do the flaps. First I'm going to rename them to bone_flaps. Now the bone name might sound a little weird, but at first I was playing with rigging it, and I wasn't happy with how that worked out, so I changed it, but the name remained the same. Actually, if you put a bone here that's just using this name, it's still gonna work. So yeah, now I'm going to apply the mirror modifier, so the flaps are ready. Next I'm going to do the elevators. So the elevators are the same deal. Oh, actually, before going into it, we need to change the origin, right? Because if I rotate it around the y-axis now, they're gonna do this, the flaps, and that's no good. So we need to make them rotate correctly. So to do this, I'm just going to select any face, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going to select both of these faces. I'm going to press Shift S and then 2 to place the cursor at the center of the selected geometry. And then I'm going to right click, I'm going to go back into object mode, and I'm going to right click and set the origin to the 3D cursor. Now this just changes the origin of the flaps, and now when I rotate them around the y-axis, they're going to behave as I want them to. So this is how they're going to look in the game. Now the same thing is done for the elevators. Like I just apply the mirror modifier, I go into edit mode, I select any face, doesn't matter, and Shift S, go cursor to selected, and then I set the origin to the 3D cursor. So here I have it. It doesn't matter that it's in this random spot. All I care about is rotating on the y-axis. And if that looks okay, then it doesn't matter. So here it's going to work completely fine. And yeah, elevators are done. And I'm going to also rename them to bone_pitch. So this changes the pitch of the aircraft. Now the names here are just dependent on the function, not the actual name of the part. So this I named it Yo. I always forget the name of the names of the control surfaces. So yeah, this is the Yo part. So it's once again I'm going to do this exercise of moving the cursor here and then setting the origin to the cursor, and then basically this is ready. So I'm going to go and name it Bonyo. And now it's time for the, what were these? I forgot what were the names here. Anyway, I called them the roll surfaces. So yeah, these are going to be the roll surfaces. So first off, here we have two of them. Obviously, you need two separate surfaces. So first I will apply the mirror modifier again. But now I'm going to go into the wireframe view. I'm going to select one side and I'm going to separate it. And now that I have the two separate selections, I can just select one of them, do the same exercise with the cursor, again setting the origin to the 3D cursor. And this one is ready, so I'm just going to name it bone_roll_R. This is the right wing. Was it aileron? I don't know, I always forget the names. So this is the roll surface, this is the right wing roll surface. And now it's time to do the same thing for the left wing. So obviously, I mean, you know what, the same origin point is gonna work, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to place origin to 3D cursor. Remember, we're only rotating on the y-axis. So it doesn't matter if the origin is over there. As long as it's aligned on the y-axis, it's completely okay. So this is going to be bone, roll, L for left wing. So yeah, now I have all of the control surfaces set. They're all going to work. And I like to make a collection in Blender. So let's name this control surfaces. And let's just move everything there so the model is nice and tidy. Also, before going forward, something that's very important is applying the rotation. So I'm going to go into the object properties in Blender and check the rotation on all of those. And even without checking it, I can just apply the rotation. This is because if it's not applied, it's going to behave very weirdly. So yeah, this is what we care about. Maybe scale, I'm not sure. I don't think scale is that important, so I think scale can be skipped. So yeah, these are the control surfaces. Now it's time for the collisions. So the game needs to know how the aircraft is gonna collide. And it can't do this based on the regular mesh. You need to make separate meshes for the collision shapes. This is mostly done because I expect some aircraft to have pretty complex shapes. So yeah, they wouldn't fit for collision, for rigid body collisions. Rigid body collisions need to be simple. Now this model is very simple, so I can just I have my meshes here for the wing, so I can just this one I can just straight up duplicate and make. I'm going to make a new collection and I'm going to name it collisions. And then I'm going to move the new mesh over here. This is a duplicate mesh. And since this mesh is pretty simple, it's gonna work completely okay to just duplicate it, and then it doesn't matter, so I can just name it like the name here doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna go wing, and I'm going to and the way the game finds what's a collision shape and what isn't is by adding dash conv col only. Now this builds a convex shape and it uses it for collisions. And yeah, the first part of the name doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the ending. If it ends with dash conv col only, then it's gonna work fine. So yeah, now I have this. And I also need to add for the aircraft. Now, because it builds convex collisions, I can't duplicate this and use it, because it's going to make a straight point from here to here, because convex collisions can't have any concaves in them. I think this is how this is called. So basically what I mean is, if I duplicate this just to show it, the final collision is gonna look something like this. If I use it. So I need to basically split it in two. So this is what I will do right now. So actually I can kind of do it by duplicating this shape. Oh, and there are also these parts. Yeah, so if I just use this shape, it's going to end up looking something like, I don't know, like if I was to merge all of these, maybe it's going to look like this. Wait, how was the merge? I forgot. Yeah, let's merge it center. It's going to end up looking something like this, and then you also need to dissolve this, and it's gonna look like a complete mess. So yeah, basically I'll probably split it into multiple parts. So yeah, let's get into that. So I'm going to start by duplicating this, moving it here, and now this is going to become in multiple parts. So I'm going to name it body col or col body or something, and I'm not going to add the dash conv col only yet. I'm going to add it later because I'm going to separate this multiple times. So this can be done in a few sections. Let me just think a little bit. Okay, so the first split I can do is this part over here. Let's just edge select, yep, and let's just split it. Let's just separate it. Yeah, okay, so this is the front engine part. This is going to stop this madness from happening. Now, if I make this, let's just hide the body base, so I can just fill anything here. So I can just fill this or whatever. So yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay, and now I need to separate this part as well. Actually, I'm not sure if I have a very nice separation logic here, so I'm just going to go circle select, and I'm gonna do something like this. Yep, I think this will work. So, oh shit. Yep, I think this will work. So if I just separate the selection again, and now I have the base of the body, so I can just I can just connect this, And yeah, now the body is ready. I have a nice collision for the body. I'm going to name this call engine, and let's see what this is. Now this is also not gonna work fine. I need to change it a little bit. So first, oops, wait, let's go into face. First I'm going to separate this top part over here. So let's separate it. Let's separate the selection. Yes, and now if I remove this, I have this little collision part over here. So I'm just gonna delete some faces and I'm going to connect it like this. And this is gonna work very well for the collision. It's gonna be completely fine. And I could even delete this part that's sticking out of the back, but I don't think I have to. I think it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be fine. So, and then I have this. This is also going to work okay. Oh, I need to fill this empty gap over here. So let's just fill it. Yep, okay, so all of the collision, so these are the different collision parts that I need pretty much for the game to be able to work with collision. As you can see, they don't have to connect. It's okay if they don't, it's completely fine. It's just for registering collisions. This is all it's worked for, and it doesn't affect the actual like visuals of the aircraft. When loading the mesh, they're gonna get deleted in the game and they're gonna get turned into collisions. So that's fine. Now it's time to just add the dash conv only. Yeah, this is the covert. No, this is not vert. This is horizontal. And now I have all the collisions I need, so the game will be able to work with the aircraft. Now something that's very important is to apply all transforms on the collision shapes, because otherwise they're going to behave very weirdly. So yeah, just apply all transforms to them and they're gonna work fine. They're gonna work completely okay. So yeah, now we have control surfaces, we have collisions. Now it's time, we need to talk about the wheels a little bit. So as you can see here, I have a bit of a mess. So I have some cubes 0, 1, cylinder 0, 1, whatever. Like this is just some mess that I have here. Now I'm going to turn this into something that the game will understand. So wheels are essentially, each wheel has 3 parts. It has a raycast origin point, it has the tire mesh and the suspension mesh. So here we have the suspension mesh and the tire meshes, but there is no raycast origin point. So let's start by adding the raycast origin points. Or actually before that, now I'm going to add the raycast origin points last. I'm going to start by fixing the meshes and the suspension, or the tires and suspension. So I'm going to start with the front wheel. Very simple. Now let's make a new collection. Let's name it wheel meshes, and I'm going to rename this. This is already fine. This is going to rename wheel underscore, and I'm gonna name it front. This is the front wheel, and underscore tire. Now it's very important how these mesh names start and end. Wheel underscore name underscore tire. This name over here, the front, is going to be used in configuration later. So this is going to connect the mesh to the configuration file. And it's also important to signify that this is a wheel at the start and to specify that it's a tire at the end. This is how the logic works. So I'm going to move it here. And yeah, this is the tire. Now the mesh is completely okay. The transform scales don't matter. The rotation doesn't matter. No, the rotation actually matters. Like if you have some weird rotation here, it's not gonna work fine. But what matters is the origin point, and here I can see that it's okay. Like it's gonna rotate around the y-axis, so if I rotate it a bit, I see that it's okay. It's gonna work in the game, so I can leave it at it as is. But if my origin point is at the center, I need to move it here the same way I did with the control surfaces. So just to show it, let's say I set origin, I set origin to this here is let's move the cursor to the world origin, and let's say you were editing this in edit mode and you moved it and now it's weird, so let's move the origin here and you try to rotate around the y-axis and you see this. Now to fix this, you can very simple set origin and set origin to geometry, and it's gonna work okay. Okay, so the wheel is fine, or rather the tire. The tire is okay. Now it's time for the suspension. Now suspension still depends on the name. You just do wheel underscore the name of the wheel underscore sus. And this is the suspension. So now we have the front tire, the front suspension, and the last part. I'm actually gonna do the raycast here anyway. So the last part is adding the raycast. So to do this, I simply go to the empty. I had to go empty and I use an arrow. Now, it doesn't matter what you use. You can use anything. I like the arrow because it's 1 meter long, and by default, the suspension is 1 meter long. So I can just see very well how the game will interact with it. So I just move this raycast to where the wheel is, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees around the y-axis so it points down. And now that it points down, I want this arrow to be where the wheel will contact the ground. So this is how it is, and now I need to rename it as well. It's wheel underscore front underscore ray, and this is everything that you need for a single wheel. Now I'm going to name this to wheels. I'm going to rename this to wheels. I'm actually not going to split the meshes from the raycast. I'm going to keep them in the same collection because it's like they just align very nicely. So yeah. Now it's time to do the rear wheels, and I'm going to start by applying my mirror modifiers. So let's apply my mirror modifier here and here. And now I'm going to separate them. So I can just do, oops, let's do it like this, and I can separate the selection. Now I have one of my wheels here, the other over here. And let's do the same for the suspension. Oops. Okay, now I have my suspension. Let's separate the selection. Now I have both of my suspensions and the wheels. Okay, nice. So I'm going to start with the rear right tire. So I'm just gonna name this wheel rear right underscore tire. Or actually, to keep it more, I don't know, to keep it more, actually rear right is good enough. So I'm just gonna move this to wheels. I have this now, as you can see here, actually here I have my origin at the center. Because I was using a mirror modifier, I had to bring back the origin to the center so it would work. So now if I spin this around the y-axis, it doesn't work. So this is a good example of when I can just use set origin, origin to geometry, and now this is gonna spin the wheel correctly. So I have it here, and now I can just do this wheel rear right sus. So this is a suspension. The suspension doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters the transform scale or the position. I don't think they matter. Anyway, I'm going to apply all transforms, and to the wheel actually I'm going to apply rotation. Now here it has no rotation, so this was pointless, but anyway, I have the wheel. Now I'm going to repeat this for actually let's apply the scale here, and let's let's add the rear left suspension, and let's also add the wheel rear left tire. Okay, so now we have the rear left suspension, the rear left tire. Now I can see the rear left tire is not going to work, so I can just set the origin to geometry, and it is going to spin around its center, which is what we want for the wheel. Now this is ready, and I can add the raycast. So I'm just going to duplicate the front wheel raycast. I'm gonna move it like here, and this is, let's do the right tire first. So this is what I'm gonna treat as the contact point with the ground. Now I feel like sometimes, especially for bigger wheels, it's better to move the contact point further out because it gives extra stability. So actually I will do that here. I am going to move the contact point a bit out, and I'm going to go with wheel underscore rear right ray. Okay, so now there are all the ingredients for the right wheel. Now let's make it for the left. I'm just going to remove the minus from the Y location and go rear left. And yeah, the wheels are ready at this point. They are going to work. Okay, now we have the control surfaces, the collisions, and the wheels. It's time to add the remaining fun stuff, which are the lights, the propellers, and the callsigns. So let's start with the lights. There are a bunch of lights to add. First off, I'm gonna add the landing light. So let's make a new collection. Let's name it lights. Yeah, and I do this by adding empty spheres. It doesn't matter what you add, it is gonna work okay. So let's move this to where we want the lighting, the landing light to go from. So it is going to make a cone of light that goes down in like, I don't know, like 15 degrees or something. I don't know. I mean, it's, yeah, just add some lights. Like, I'm going to add it doesn't matter how many landing lights there are. Like, I'm gonna add 3. I don't know, this aircraft is very bright. Let's add 3. This is probably a configuration that doesn't exist, but I'm just going to use it for the purpose of showing how modding works. So yeah, it doesn't matter how they're named as long as the name starts with landing lights, and then it doesn't matter. So let's go landing light 0, and actually, yeah, like doesn't matter what the name is as long as it starts with landing light, it's okay. So these are gonna work. Now let's add the navigation lights. So there are a whole bunch of navigation lights. First, I'm going to add the one on the right wing. So let's add this here. This is going to be the green navigation light that shows the right side of the aircraft. So this is going to be named nav underscore R. Now there is also a strobe light on the same wings. So let's add a strobe light, like it's behind the navigation light. So this is going to be named nav underscore R underscore strobe. So yeah, now I can just duplicate both of these, and remove the minus on the y-axis and just name it nav L. This is going to be the red light on the left side of the aircraft. And also let's do the strobe light, L strobe. Now in hindsight, the strobe lights could have been like just strobe and you could have added as much of them as you want, but I don't know why I did them this way. I just did. Anyway, if anybody requests them to be more generic, I will make them more generic. So I have the left, the right. It's time for the tail navigation light. So I'm just going to, or actually no, I will add a new empty sphere. So it's at the center, so it's the tail navigation light. So yeah, I'll just place it here. It's called nav_tail. And now I also need the strobe light. So this is nav_tail_strobe. And now all of the lights on this aircraft are done. You don't have to use spheres, by the way. You can use anything. You can use whatever you like for these. These, I don't know, these are not meshes, these are just some nodes. Okay, now it's time for the propeller. Now I did not make a propeller cone, so this doesn't matter. Like you just need a propeller cone, so let's just add a very quick cone surface. This is just a mesh. So this is just the mesh part. So I'm going to make a little mesh part here. This doesn't matter, like it's let's just yeah, so you don't need to make an actual propeller, you just need to make the cone. So you have the cone. Now to add a propeller, oh actually this cone, I want to move it here. Now to add a propeller, I'm going to add a new collection and I'm gonna name it MISC because there are very few things left. Now the game deals with the propeller for you, so you can just add an empty circle, rotate it around the z-axis by 90 degrees. It doesn't matter how its rotation is, the game will always make it point towards x. And yeah, just move it here. Now what matters is the scale. Oops, let's also change the position. Yeah, here it is. What matters is the scale. Now this one is okay. If you make it bigger, the game will make it bigger. So yeah, just add an empty circle and name it prop, and what comes after it doesn't matter. Like it can be anything. Like it just has to, the name has to start with prop. So yeah, this is the propeller. It's time for Callsigns. Now that we have the propellers and the lights, so I'm just going to, I use arrows for this in Blender. Now, important thing to know about Callsigns is that the text points towards the X sign. So this is where the direction in which the text is written. And it is readable from y minus. So if you look at it this way, with the z towards the top and the x going right, this is the direction in which the call sign will be readable from. So now I can just place one on the wing. So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to rotate it by, oops, by minus 90 degrees. Oops. By minus 90 degrees on the x-axis, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees here, and now we have a cosine. It's going, the cosine will be at the center of this, so yeah, just keep in mind the positioning. I believe this is good enough. Now, if I scale it, if I change the scale, this is going to change the size of the call sign. So it's something to consider when adding the call signs. You can change their size based on the scale of this object. And now the name again, it should start with callsign. So if it starts with callsign, it's gonna work, and I'm gonna name it callsign1, or rather, let's name this callsign right wing, so it's more readable what's happening here. So this is the right wing callsign. Now I'm going to make one for the left wing, so I'm just going to position it here. I'm going to rotate it by 180 degrees around the y-axis. I'm going to place it down. Now this is going to be readable from here. I don't like that. I want it to be readable from the other way around, so let's do 180. So this is going to be readable when looking at the aircraft from the front. So yeah, I just this is the left wing callsign. Okay, so now there is one on the left wing, there is one on the right wing. So now I'm gonna place one at the tail, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, there is no point for having more callsigns. Actually, I'm going to first rotate this by minus 90 degrees around the y-axis, and now I can place it, I can position it very nicely here. So I'm just gonna position it like this, and let's make this callsign, I don't know, a bit smaller. Let's make it half the size of the other callsign. So the callsigns are also ready. Now the collection names don't matter as long as the mesh names are like this and they don't have any parents. They're gonna work completely okay. So yeah, this little aircraft is finished. Now it's optional to add some materials, so this is what I'm gonna do now. The current state of modding doesn't support skins. This is something that I'll add later. So I'm just going to add some basic colors so the aircraft doesn't look very weird. And yeah, I'm going to time lapse this too, and I will go into the configuration part of the tutorial. So now that the aircraft is completely ready, it's time to export it. Now the way I do this is I go into export, I do gltf2, I export. Now here the name is mod example, the name doesn't matter, and usually you only want to include selected or visible objects. Now because here I have everything, and actually I have my collisions set to being invisible, I am going to export everything. So I'm just going to go into export gltf2, and I'm not going to change anything. It's very important to have this transform y up because Godot uses y-axis as the up axis. And now that I have this, I'm going to go into my Steam apps. Now this is the Steam folder, this is the Steam base folder. So I'm going to go into Steam apps, I'm going to go into common, and then I'm going to find Bush 1022, and here I have a mods folder. Now there are some examples which I have already provided, but I'm going to make a new one. It doesn't matter how many folders you have or what their names are. So I'm just going to name this I don't know, orange, because this is the orange plane, though it will have different skins in the future and may not be always orange, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to add this mods/orange folder, and I'm going to export this gltf2 texture there. Now that I have it exported, I'm going to go here into the mods, and I have it over here. Now I am going to copy one of the JSON files here, and there are 3 examples. So in the mod examples, there is the classic, the corgi, and wow, this is the corgi. Okay, this is not a corgi actually. So this is not a Corgi. Now the name of this aircraft is now Double Bob, but it used to be named Corgi. And yeah, there's a story behind that, but it doesn't matter. So for this aircraft that now that I look at it, it's actually closest to the ultralight. So I'm just gonna copy the ultralight example and I'm gonna move it here. And I'm going to open the configuration, and maybe it's going to be more readable using something like VS Code, but I'm going to use Notepad because it's good enough. So first off, we have the aircraft name. So this is going to be named, I don't know, like the orange one. Yeah, I'm gonna name it like this, the orange one, very emphasizing that it's orange. Now here there are some wheel settings, I'm gonna get into them later. First I want to change the GLB path. So I'm going to change it to mod_example.glb. It has to match the name of the model. It needs to match it. So yeah, here I have it. Now I have the weight. Is this a 500 kilo aircraft? I don't know. Let's make it 600 kilo. Let's change it a little bit. And here I have a bunch of settings from the ultralight. I kind of like how it handles, so I'm gonna keep them. Now these here are wheel settings and they're kind of important. I'm going to go back into Blender so I have my wheels visible on the side, and I'm gonna open Notepad again. So the names of the wheels here are going to match with what you have in the mesh. So you need to basically change them to match up. So here I'm going to change the F to front because F is the front wheel and the ultralight. So this is the front. Now the settings that you have for this wheel is going to match the one from the mesh, and it is going to be able to set up the raycast correctly. Now we have the rear left and the rear right. Okay, so I am going to once again keep the same settings as the ultralight here. I'm not going to change anything. So this looks okay. This the settings over here look fine. So now I'm just going to launch the game and hope that it works. So let's launch it. So yeah, I'm starting up the game, and if I go here, I have the orange one in the aircraft selector. Now this is just a debug for now. For the pre-release version of 2.0, later it's going to be, there's going to be a whole game mechanic around that I'm currently working on. So now that I start the game, hopefully everything will be okay. And yeah, I see it kind of works. Something is wrong with the right wheel though. Now, yeah, I can see the control surfaces are okay. I can see this works, but I really need to figure out what's wrong with the right wheel. So I'm gonna do that in a bit. I will just fly a little bit to check the aircraft. Everything seems okay. Yeah, it's quite a chunky boy. This one, it's quite a chunky little aircraft. But yeah, okay. Now I need to check what's wrong with the right wheel. So. Okay, so I found the issue. Basically, the name is split with underscores here, so yeah, you can't really use underscores in the wheel names. So because of this, I'm just going to use camel case here, and yeah, I will change the wheel names. So like this. Right, so now all of the wheels are not having underscores in their names. Now I will export the GLB again into the same mods directory. So there it is, and now I will go back to the config and I will just change the wheel names to the camel case I'm using. So now that I have this, I can launch the game. And now, hopefully, the aircraft will work correctly. So let's start it. And yeah, here it is. So basically the suspension is set up. It is working, the camera is working, everything is okay. As you can see, the propeller is there. The call signs are also there as we set them. And yeah, now I'm going to check the landing light. So yeah, here is the stupid setup with 3 landing lights. As you can see, they work as expected, and I'm going to land. And change the time to night so we can see the navigation lights too. So let's approach here. Oh crap. Okay, now this is a problem that I'm having. I mean, the suspension system is still not too great, and sometimes the wheels can fall through the ground. It's something that I will update with newer versions. But yeah, basically I'm going to try and stop here, and so I can change the time to night. So let's do this. Oh shit, now I'm too far away, so let's go back there. Yep, finally in checkpoint range again. So I've stopped, and now I'm going to change the time to, I don't know, something like 20. And as you can see, the navigation lights are correct. So yeah, we have a working aircraft mod for Bush 1022, and it's scriptless. You don't need to script anything. Everything is just working fine. So yeah, hope you enjoy this. Hope this works for you, and I'm waiting to see what the community comes up with. I feel like there is a lot of possibility here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a great day.